Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry.
Well, now that we've heard about furries, I guess we have to hear about tweets next, right?
Yeah, we gotta do the tweets.
We do.
Gotta do the tweets. Starting off with the case orbs, though, so starting strong. So Kamala Harris, vice president, posted a picture for Thanksgiving with her husband, and in the background was a gas stove. Kevin Sorbo retweeted that picture saying, "I thought gas stoves were bad for the environment." And so, yeah, they are. Like, first off, absolutely, 100%. That's undeniable. You're burning a fucking fossil fuel in your home. Duh. Mm-hmm. It's bad for the environment. Secondly, like this is one of those things where like a lot of people were retweeting this and like
thinking it's an own,
saying it was like hypocrisy on their part because like, oh, they're banning gas stoves and yet they have gas stoves. And it's like, no, they're not banning gas stoves. They're banning gas stoves in new construction. But so here's the thing. Are you familiar with the channel Technology Connections?
I'm not actually, no.
Okay, the guy's a complete fucking nerd. It's basically like it's ADHD hyperfocus candy. And like, so he goes into great detail about stuff that like nobody even fucking cares about, but like, it'll be like, oh, you have piqued my interest. I will watch this 30-minute video on the popcorn button of a microwave.
Oh, I've seen the thumbnails for his videos.
Yes.
Because that's the one I've seen. Okay.
He's fucking great. But like, so he did a video where he was talking about it was his video on kettles and like why kettles aren't popular in North America. And like, spoiler alert, the reason kettles aren't popular in North America, or at least not as popular as they are in England, is because we don't drink tea as much. And as a tea drinker, I'm like, yeah, that's the one thing I use my kettle for. So if I didn't drink tea, I probably wouldn't have a kettle.
The only reason I had one for a while was for cup ramen.
We're getting to that. We've got fuck off, right click menu. Adam Broughton sent $5, says I forked out almost $3,000 for an induction stove in my condo and I love it. We're getting there. So in his kettle video, he was like, because that's one of the hypotheses that is like why kettles aren't popular is because we have 120 volt wiring, whereas they have 240. So it takes longer to boil water, even with a kettle. Mm-hmm. And yes, that's true, but kettles still boil water faster than the stove does. And so he did a bunch of tests and he found that like, as far as like how quick a stove will heat something, induction stoves are the best.
Okay.
An electric stove that is just the bare exposed element. The coil element. That's the second best. An electric stove under a glass top. That's the third best.
That's what I have.
The gas stoves fucking sucked.
Because
the thing with the gas stove is you're not just heating, like when you put it on an electric stove, especially one that has like different size options of it. Like because my stove is an electric stove under a glass top. And the two front elements have options. You've got the big circle that you can turn on, or you've got the little circle, and then the one on the right has like an even smaller circle. So like you can make the stove fit your pot so that it's only heating your pot. It's not sending heat up around the sides. You can't do that with gas. And so with gas, what happens is like a lot of the heat just escapes out the sides.
That does end up working out well for people who cook in woks, though. There are some cookwares that are made for that type of environment.
Sure, but most people don't. Mm-hmm. Not in North America, anyway.
Also, I've been using woks on electric stoves, and it's fine.
Yeah,
just saying.
That too. Yeah, so like as long as like so the gas stove like it wastes so much heat not heating up the thing that you're heating up. And then he actually measured the CO2 levels in his living room while he cooked dinner one night. And with a gas stove, the CO2 levels doubled. So it's really shitty for indoor air quality. It's really shitty for efficiency. So Yeah, and he did like he did his measurements with boiling water. So like you boil the same amount of water on each things. It boils fastest in the kettle, second fastest in induction, and like third fastest on electric.
Not only do you have all the
gas
escaping
was the
heat,
slowest.
not only do you have all the escaping heat, it's literally just polluting your breathing environment on top of the heat just escaping and not getting used for the purpose you're spending it on.
Yeah, so you're wasting money.
Jesus Christ.
You're wasting money heating up your house rather than the we got another $250 from Jet saying, hope this helps. Thank you very much. That does indeed help. We're at 6288.36, which is amazing, but still $3,700 shy, a little more than $3,700 shy of the $10,000 goal. Come on, where's my OCD people at? Come on. We raised so much money trying to just make things even, and then other people fucking with them. I don't know. Is exploiting mental illness to raise money for charity a bad thing?
It's doing an evil for the purpose of a good. So you are currently an anti-hero.
Okay. So anyway, Sorb says, I thought gas stoves were bad for the environment. Absolutely. But you know what else is bad for the environment? Manufacturing. So if you already have a gas stove, and it works fine, and you have no reason to replace it, it's probably better for the environment as a whole to not replace it with an electric stove. It might be better for your family to replace it with an electric stove because, like, the CO2 is just the easiest to measure toxin that is given off by burning fossil fuels inside your home.
Mm-hmm. It's really weird to think of how married people get to these things. What's the best way to put this? Because I covered the Dave Rubin thing where he was talking about the gas stoves and freaking out about them despite it being just a building code thing where you can literally you can buy a gas stove and take it into your house and nobody will stop you.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing stopping that.
They just can't put it in a new construction home and sell the home to the first owner with people just need to buy their own gas stoves if they want a gas stove.
It's the same thing with when they're building new like high-rise apartments, they can't put a gas stove in the high-rise apartment.
Yeah.
Like that's mainly what it's for more than anything. But a lot of people when they're buying a fully furnished home, it might not come with those appliances. Sometimes if they're not fully furnished, you're just buying the house that's just been built. It might not have it at all anyway.
Well, so there's also like a convenience factor in that. Like, I just spent $1,000 on a microwave because we're getting our kitchen renovated, and we're renovating the house so that we can have not 4 kids sharing one room.
Yeah,
like we're finishing the basement and getting everything done proper down there, so that, they can get out in case of fire and stuff like that. And like having some basement bedrooms. And as part of that, we're also renovating the kitchen. It's like, okay, well, this is our budget and you can do the basement for under that budget. Sure. Let's do some kitchen stuff. And I just spent $1,000 on a microwave, which is fucking overkill. But it's because it's a microwave that also has like heating elements in it that it can act as like an air fryer or convection oven or something.
That's one of the multi-purpose ones.
Yeah. So, and like, normally I'd say like, no, if you don't, like, I would probably not use this regularly, except we are a family of 7 people where one person is a vegetarian. So there's often like, okay, well, your vegetarian thing requires different cooking parameters, but you're just the one person out of 7 of us. So it's just going in the oven at the same temperature as everything else. And like, if it's a little bit burned, sorry.
It's just kind of how it has to be.
So like I got this extra, like I paid extra for the microwave because like, okay, well now we can cook stuff for her that is, it's actually going to be more enjoyable for her, and it like is going to be cooked better. So like, that's why we did that. So like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I could have spent that money on like upgrading my stove to induction or something, which is the best kind of stove as far as efficiency is concerned. But like, there's also family efficiency to consider. I don't even know why I started making that point. I don't remember.
Striker says, how would you connect the gas stove into a new house? So, as somebody who had to get a house renovated, there is a thing that will happen where your contractor will go, hey, there is room here for a gas hookup. Would you like us to just put the line in? Because that's all it really is them putting a line in, and then the appliance does most of the regulating. And if you're on city gas, then they would just put a line in for the city gas, or the line would be there and available, and you just wouldn't use it all the time. So what will happen is during the construction process, they'll go, hey, you have a choice when we're putting in your furnace. Do you want it to be a furnace attached to the gas line you have, or do you want it to be electric? And then what used to be the case is they would go, as we're putting in your stove, do you want it to be an electric stove hooked up to this power meter here, or do you want it to be attached to the same line? And you get to pick the things. For me, I went electric stove, and I have gas heat, but that gas heat doesn't mean anything because my central is out. But that's the point there, is that there's nothing saying that you can't have the hookup. It's the stove itself, because the gas furnace is not as inefficient as the stove is. The escaping heat is the point of the furnace.
So, Lord of Us Collect says, I thought you spent money on a microwave because one of your kids blasted the old one with the fire extinguisher. The old one still works. However, having that ammonia, whatever it is, powder, dust, all over electronic stuff is probably not good for longevity. Excuse me. So that microwave
might not be.
That microwave might not be much longer for this world. I don't know. The main thing is, like, as part of the kitchen renovations, we're like moving the. We've got our stove is like right up against 3 cupboards that we've never been able to use in the 12 years I've lived in this house because the stove is up against them. So as part of the kitchen renovations, like, let's move the stove over. We can like wall off this doorway that nobody ever fucking uses anyway, and like put the stove over there. And as part of that, we're getting like an over-the-range microwave to give us more counter space instead of having the countertop microwave. And just the fact that microwave might die at any minute because of all the fire extinguisher dust that's in it is just kind
better
of a
to have
bonus.
the replacement.
It's been a good microwave, though. Anyway, PragerU says, name one thing the government should not be involved in. The genders of the people that are getting married. Or how about just marriage in general? Like, I understand the idea of like registering for tax purposes, but aside from that,
they shouldn't have a
marriage
say
is
in
none
it.
of their fucking business. That's a private relationship.
Dress code. Outside of being like cover your genitals.
Along those lines, Naramdaput says underwear choices.
Yeah, we don't want the Mormon government saying that we need to have the magic underwear to go outside legally.
You need to qualify for the magic underwear in Mormonism, though. Ooh, Alexis Markle says healthcare. Nope, strong disagree there.
No, they should be involved in healthcare.
Yeah, absolutely.
It turns out that not having the government involved in healthcare means that your healthcare is unregulated. And when your healthcare is unregulated, like just not even counting single payer healthcare as a thing, but when your government is not regulating healthcare, you get the problem we have with American chiropractic. So for those who don't know, there are some countries that have very, very regulated chiropractic practices where it can be used for things like loosening up a pinched nerve, something like that. In America, however, we have unregulated chiropractic. You can get a license from anywhere that says that they have it, and there's no bar, there's no nothing. The result of this is that you can go 90% of the chiropractic offices in Georgia will be anti-vaxxers telling you that popping your back will cure your cancer. That's what you get when you have unregulated medicine of any kind.
Apparently,
Alex
Markle misunderstood the question. I think they might have heard name one thing the government should be involved in.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, fair point. Thank you for the correction. I've seen this person before. I feel like they have similar opinions to mine, so that was kind of surprising to me. But yeah, so just. People who are against government provided healthcare generally would say that they're against it because like, oh, I don't want to pay for someone else's healthcare because like they're taxing me to pay for someone else's healthcare. It's like, what do you think insurance is? Like, insurance is collectivizing healthcare. You're paying your premiums those premiums go to paying for other people's healthcare that did not use the services, or that did use the services, that because like most months, most people don't use healthcare services.
Yep.
So those premiums go to paying for the people that are using the services. But the problem is, so like either way, whether you go with insurance or whether you go with the government, it's collective. But
it's just which one is going to be better at it.
Yeah. So the problem with insurance is with private insurance companies, their whole thing is we need to turn a profit. So it goes from like just everybody covers everybody else's healthcare expenses to we need to cover everybody's healthcare expenses and make extra money on top of that. So it becomes much more expensive than if it's done through the government, who is not concerned about profits.
Yep. See, a government generally has a incentive themselves. If they are the only ones who are dealing with you, they have an incentive on keeping you healthy, because if you are healthy,
then it costs you less money.
Yeah,
that too. Yeah.
And if you're healthy, you can work, and if you can work, you can pay taxes. That, like, just an Occam's razor point of view, taking any other tinfoil hat nonsense out of the equation. If you are healthy, you can work. If you can work, you can pay taxes. Therefore, a government is incentivized to keeping you healthy. Every single nut job that's like the government's trying to keep us unhealthy for this, that, and no, it's private industry that's doing that. It's been that the entire time, because private industry does not want you healthy, because a sick person buys medicine. Government, on the other hand, would rather you be healthy and working and stimulating the economy. That's what they care about.
Yeah. So I just looked up the numbers. In 2023, the average cost for a family healthcare plan through an employer-sponsored health insurance policy is $23,968 for the year. That's just under $2,000 a month in health insurance premiums. That's not including the deductible. That's not including copays or anything like that. That's just your premium is almost $2,000 a month. As a Canadian who pays for healthcare through taxes, I have never paid more than $700 per year for my entire family. So like that's the difference in cost when you have it, and both are collectivized. So like, get out of here with that. Like, oh, I don't want to pay for someone else's healthcare bullshit. What do you think? You already are. What do you think your premium pays for? That's what your premium pays for. It's not paying for you in the future. It's paying for other people who are needing healthcare now.
Back when Raz and I were together, I paid for her healthcare, and it was $450 a month. That's what it was. I could not afford healthcare for myself because we had to make a choice between which one of us would get healthcare, and Raz got the healthcare.
Yeah. So, yeah, if the government's in it, they don't have the profit motive. So it's much cheaper because they don't have to they don't have to look at it and say like, I have to cover everybody's expenses and then make profit. They just look at it as I have to cover everybody's expenses.
And yet PragerU, being the type of people, they're gonna have, I guarantee you, under their thing, there's going to be people who are like, the government shouldn't be involved in anything.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah, 100%. They're a bunch of like anarchist nut jobs and like.
I wouldn't say anarchist. I'd say libertarian.
Libertarians pretend to be anarchists, but they're not.
I am an anarcho-capitalist, and what that means is I'm a fuck.
What that means is I liked Atlas Shrugged for some reason, which is a terribly written book.
It's like
have you seen the movie trilogy?
I haven't seen the movie trilogy.
Oh, it's so bad. It's one of those good bad movies where it's like, oh, mwah. It's so beautiful.
You're enjoying how awful it is.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple moments of sadness. Like Robert Picardo is in one of them. He's the guy who played the Doctor on Star Trek Voyager. Where it's like, oh, come on, you're lending yourself to Ayn Rand shit. Come on.
At a certain point, a paycheck's a paycheck. I get it.
His whole thing on Star Trek Voyager was, I'm giving healthcare for free.
Yeah, but again, that's a character he played.
Yeah, I know.
I say this knowing that Discord and Q are the same person. I can't. There's a line.
Yeah, John Delancey just is Q. That's just how it is. Sorry.
Yep.
Capturing Christianity says, I don't like suffering does not equal God has no reason to allow suffering. So I can agree with this. So I do agree with this, but also I still see the problem of evil as a valid argument against Christianity. So like, yeah, maybe there is a reason to allow suffering. However, the degree of suffering and how easy it would be to alleviate that suffering for an omnipotent being does not match up.
My biggest argument against this has always been, if you truly have an omni God, then he is also, by being all knowledgeable, he's infinitely creative, which means he can conceive of any number of ways. Moreover, he can create any number of ways that you can learn a lesson. The whole point of suffering in any narrative is usually either as punishment or for learning a lesson. And if it's used as punishment, it's also so you can learn a lesson through the punishment. That's the point. An infinitely creative God can take anything and turn it into anything. And to argue that he can't is to limit your God, which I don't think Christians are in the market of doing.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was Capturing Christianity that I responded to or if it was someone else, but like with regards to the problem of evil, they were saying that the reason God allows suffering is for personal growth. And like the personal growth that can be brought about through suffering is a great enough good to offset the suffering. Now, first and foremost, that's utilitarian ethics, where it's like, I have assigned a value to this particular thing, which means like this good thing outweighs the bad thing that was required to bring about that good thing, which is like ends justifies the means.
It's pulling something outside of the Christian mythos to ad hoc justify the Christian mythos.
So that's not, so that like people who make the moral argument would argue that like, oh, well, morality itself, the fact that we have a moral sense is what points to God. And so like anyone who denies God, like they're denying where our morals originate. They can't justify morality, and yet they will use secular justification to say like, oh, well, bringing about greater good from suffering justifies the suffering. That's utilitarian ethics. That is appealing to secular morality to justify God's actions or inactions.
It's like the people who use like Aristotelian philosophy to justify the Bible.
Yeah, but like more than that though, they also like in the same video, the person I was responding to, which I think it was Capturing Christianity, but like I said, I might be misremembering because I respond to a lot of people. It might have been someone else, but to justify like the death of children, the premature death of children was like, oh, well, these people have been denied the personal growth that would have been achieved through suffering here on earth. It's like, oh, well, no, you can still have personal growth in heaven when everything is perfect. It's just not the same, but it's equally good. It's like, okay, well, if it's not the same,
then
but
we didn't need the suffering.
Well, if it's not, well, it's not the same though. It's different. However, the whole it's equally good thing kind of,
it means it's the same.
Yeah, it means it's the same. Like, yeah. Well, no, even if it's still different, if it's equally good, then means
then it's fine.
That is fine. Like you don't need the suffering.
But wait, if it's equally good, so like the outcome is equally good.
Yeah. But
the suffering was not important, then actually it's the greater good. If we're just using like a net measurement of good.
Oh, you don't. But Cyrus, that's utilitarian ethics. That's dirty. We don't want to touch that.
we don't want to touch that. Meanwhile, they're touching that. Yeah. That's very Catholic Church. We don't touch kids. Meanwhile.
Oh, that's right. He's a Catholic now, isn't he?
Oh yeah. Fuck. I forgot about that. Oh, I have a.
He makes me fucking mad because he increased his Patreon donors by like $3,000 in a month by converting to Catholicism, then being like, I'm running a deficit. I need more money. I'm like, it would be so easy for me to fucking convert to Christianity, being like, hallelujah, I'm starting the Vice Rhino ministry. And then get a bunch of Christians to donate to me because I'm obviously I was a hellbound atheist before, but now I've seen the light.
I felt like
I'd make so much money, and it would be tax-free. It'd be fucking tax-free.
You should be 501c3.
I pay tens of thousands of dollars in taxes every year. I could avoid that if I converted to Christianity. and I'd make more money. Like, oh, fucking A.
I owed.
I want to join the bad guys, Cirrus. I
You
want to join the bad guys
so bad?
Let me join
Rhino,
the bad guys. Stop holding me back.
As somebody who owed $10,000 last year in taxes, it was more like 2,000 after I itemized all of my stuff that I spent on channel and such and office, all that things you have to feed the IRS. So they're like, yes, you do operate a business. Still owed over $2,000, and that was not fun to pay. Please don't join the bad guys. I know. I understand. I empathize. I'm with you. Don't do it.
No, I have so many videos at this point talking about how I wish I could join the bad guys that, like, if I actually did, they'd pull that up and be like, no, this guy's just bullshitting us. And I would be.
Like, I'm not going to lie.
I'm not a good liar, though, so.
Yesterday, I received just during the stream, I received a very large sum of money in a donation. And I was like, I felt like the luckiest person in the world as it all disappeared into bills and to the credit card debt.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I was just like, hey, I have it. And then I literally, like, I paid the accounts and showed it on stream going like, full transparency. Here's where the money's gone. I don't have it anymore.
Oh.
Again, don't go to the villain side. I understand your predicament. I'm in it too. Please don't.
Lord of Us Collect says sacred rites include picking your nose. Did I pick my nose on stream just now? I'm sorry if I did that. I don't think I did that.
At least you didn't do the Nick Fuentes thing.
Oh, that could be many things.
He picked his nose and ate it on camera when he didn't think it was looking at him.
That tracks.
It does. He's a literal child.
Ugh. God damn it. Anyway, Capturing Christianity said, again, in a tweet just by itself, says, God is perfect. Perfect is a meaningless descriptor on its own. Perfect what? Perfect butt plug?
God, DDLG Playground.
God fills that hole perfectly and stimulates the prostate?
God fills me with love.
Yeah.
Oh, God, fill me with your love.
Lord Jesus, come inside me.
God, the king of edging, his second coming has taken 2,000 years.
Christians always say God is perfect as if that means something. It doesn't mean something unless you say what he is perfect at. What is he perfect at being? Like, we've got Naramda puts in the chat saying perfectly fictional. Like, yeah, that's something that can be perfect.
Fun paradox. If God is all powerful, he is perfectly fictional because that is within that scope.
Yeah.
If God cannot be fictional, then it's outside of that scope.
But I mean, also, if God is omnipresent, God is already inside my butthole, filling that space perfectly.
Filling you up. Mm-hmm.
So God is the perfect butt plug.
He always will be.
Yeah. Oh, this is fun. So Joe from Jers says she retweeted George Takei saying that he's going to vote for Biden, saying, I'm 49 and I'll probably be voting to re-elect both President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in 2024. Pass it on. Kyle Rittenhouse responded with gross. So she responded to that by saying, fuck off, Kyle, the grown-ups are talking. To which he responded, so much for a grown-up telling a 20-year-old to fuck off, but I guess that's the left for you. It's like, Kyle, you're 20. Are you saying that's not a grown-up? Are you like, does he still think of himself as a child?
I mean, he's been treated like a child hero by the right. He's literally been paraded around. This dude, through doing what he did, got rewarded by being incredibly famous and getting, like, I can, as somebody who's, a social media influencer, that's what we are on YouTube and Twitch and all that.
Don't say influencer.
It is 100% the job.
Not influencer. Influencers are people who, like, will flash their watches that the watch company paid them. Be like, oh yeah, this is my nice whatever the fuck.
I flashed the ideology company made me. They sent it to me in a nice book called Das Kapital or something.
I was approached by a watch company that was like, oh, we make wooden watches with wooden thing, and they look like nice watches, and I don't know. They just seem kind of sketchy.
Understandable. I can't say anything. I've been sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm tainted. I'm
Yeah,
tainted.
but you like streamed right after that being like, yeah, here's why Raid is a piece of shit.
They offered me another sponsorship.
Yeah, they don't fucking care.
They don't know and they don't care. They're just like, get people to sign up for a video game.
Surfshark sponsors me regularly. Like, they've been my most consistent sponsor, the VPN, and I get comments all the time being like, can't you get any sponsors other than a VPN? I was like, yeah, I can, but like the VPN's the most consistent. It's like, the reality is all the VPNs are fucking the same. It doesn't fucking matter. Just get a VPN. I appreciate if you use the one that I advertise to you, but they're all the fucking same.
Raid Shadow Legends ends up everywhere sooner or later. It ends up in your cupboards.
I turned them down. I actually responded to their email being like, I will advertise for you as long as I can like inject enough sarcasm to make it clear to my audience that I absolutely despise you. And I actually got the response saying like, I will check with the marketing team to see whether or not that is something that we're willing to do. And then they like responded a couple days later being like, yeah, that's not something we're interested in doing. I'm like, yeah, I know, man. That was just me saying no in a snarky way.
I need to. Oh God, what would I? Unfortunately, the ones they've offered me are the ones that like they have to have a turnover. So like you have to have a certain number of people who are downloading it.
I always say no to that because I'm not a very good salesman at all, even for something that I do believe in.
I'm not either.
So I'm just like, no, if there's a requirement before I get paid, no.
I just have to wonder with like as much fame as Kyle Rittenhouse got from everything, he has to have set himself up for life at this point.
Well,
and that's gross to think about.
According to his lawyers, he's broke. However,
how?
Well, so this is the thing. They're saying he's broke, but he's like kind of the center of, I think he's being sued right now for something. I forget what. But
by the family, I guess.
There's a lot of stuff going on in his life where it makes good legal sense for him to present himself as being broke publicly.
Mm-hmm.
But he's probably not.
There is no feasible way that he is broke. This is like when I was going over the Boogie documentary and like looking at his finances, the way he laid them out, and then going like,
Wampa77 says social media influencers typically end up creating an OnlyFans page at some point in their career. I'm waiting, guys. So
Rhino mentioned it already.
Yeah, going back to what we said earlier in the stream about onlyfans.com/ViceRhino and Surus about, I forget what it was. It was like you coming all over me or something.
I said something about oh, you spilled your beer.
Oh yes, I was all
and
foamy
I said,
everywhere.
Don't worry, I'll never miss your mouth.
Yes, you'll never miss my mouth. Onlyfans.com/ViceRhino and Surus.
So when I went over the Boogie documentary and he was doing his finances thing, like this is how much I get from YouTube and this is how much I survive off of, and I looked at his numbers, I compared them to my numbers, knowing what my RPM is like, looked through all of his stuff and went, there's no fucking way. There is no fucking way at this stage with these numbers that you have managed to dig yourself this hard in this situation. There are so many avenues you are literally not using.
And if you're in a hard situation, either go to onlyfans.com/ViceRhino and Surus or give it to Project Share.
That's a situation that would get you hard, Rhino. That's different.
Yes, okay.
But just it's the same thing with the Rittenhouse thing. There's no way he's drunk, because as somebody who, has a measure of notoriety on the internet, however small, I know what to do at a certain level of notoriety. Yeah. Like, hey, a certain number of people know me, I can do this.
It'd be so fucking easy to make money with the name Kyle Rittenhouse. As long as you're willing to sell your soul to the right wing.
License it out to a porn company.
Well, he wrote a book.
Of course he did.
Yeah,
he should have done the OJ thing. Like, if I did
his avatar is the picture that's on the cover of the book, which that's not a flattering picture. Like, you couldn't get a better picture of yourself, man.
It looks like an old timey mugshot.
Let's see. Kyle Rittenhouse book images. Yeah, it's called Acquitted. That's a terrible picture.
Old Gus says, looks like time check in. Is YouTube chat still working? So no, because we're on Rhino's channel. I don't want to layer the chats up on my end. It looks weird when you do that.
He looks like he had a stroke in this picture. Like the left half of his face, his left side of his face, right side when you're looking at it, looks
very
like
asymmetrical.
It's droopy. Like half of his face is drooping. Anyway,
we're running. Like he got hit by the entire legal system.
I think this is the last tweet. Charlie Martin says, "You people don't stand for your flag or country or pledge of allegiance, or you people who don't stand for your flag or country or pledge of allegiance are insufferable. Simply rootless urban parasites who refuse to honor and respect the people who fought for your freedom." Now, this was on Threads, and I saw it, and a bunch of veterans replied to this, being like, no, actually, we fought for the freedom to, like, not stand for the pledge if you don't want to, because that's what freedom actually means. Like,
you are free to be not free.
Yeah, like, freedom doesn't mean you have to conform to societal expectations. Freedom means you can not do that if you don't want to. And this person didn't understand that. He would argue with veterans, being like, no, that's not what you fought for.
And you're just like, bro, I'm the one that went out there.
Yeah.
And people have to be so right. They are just wrong all the time.
Yeah, but it's like, these people, they don't, the people that are most... The people whose dicks get the most hard when they hear the word freedom are the people who least understand what the word freedom even fucking means.
Because in their mind, freedom is always operating within the parameters of what they deem is okay. That's what freedom means. Well, I wouldn't do that, so surely nobody else would want to do that.
So Avalon of Babylon says, go to DDLG Playground and use coupon code Surus. He's literally their only partner anymore because his audience is such a degen that is like, yeah, no, the partner program doesn't work for us anymore, but this guy gets some sales.
It works for them. That was such a weird email to get. They were like, yeah, we grandfathered the program out. It didn't make a whole lot of money, but your code gets used actually, so you can keep it. What? Okay, sure. Neat.
Right. So yeah, that was the last tweet. And so we're done with the tweets. Thank you so much for your donations to Project Share. I appreciate that. Hover does not appreciate that because share.viceround.com seems to not be working anymore, but the bots have been spamming it in the chat, so you should be able to find it.
It'll work one way or another.
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with that. If you want to send me news articles, send it to news@vicerounder.com, but that's, again, Hover hosting that, so maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. Who fucking knows with how they work?
My brain is corrupted. I didn't hear if you want to send me news. I heard if you want to send me news.
I mean, if you want to send me nudes, you can send them there too, but I'm not going to show them on stream.
He'll just go with his partner and judge them in the back rooms.
Yeah, we'll have some fun with that. Yeah, no, actually, nope, it's lost. My thought is gone. Rosaline Keller sent 499 says Kyle Rittenhouse looks like John from Jane and John from the Debunking Evolution Creationist series. I'm not oh yeah, those guys, John and Jane from Genesis Apologetics.
Memory holes. Ninja says, Surus, don't act like you didn't know we were a special level of degenerate. Oh, I knew. I knew. 100%.
No, don't do that. Okay, can we? Nope.
Trying to find the way to exit the stream.
No, I know how to exit the stream. I want to show a picture of John and Jane.
He said he's an official porn artist. Of course, his chat is degenerate. Look. You're only official because I've paid you for work that isn't porn. Then you can't unsee it, thanks. Well, now soon everybody won't be able to unsee it. Eventually, Rhino will get to the point where he can show it. There it
is. So the guy there.
Oh my John. God! He just looks like Rittenhouse.
Yep. Oop.
That's... Why is he... He looks so sad.
And also half of his face looks like it doesn't work. So that works.
Yeah. Is that what we're going to call that now? Getting Rittenhoused?
Having a stroke is getting Rittenhoused.
Yeah. That feels awful to think of, and now nobody can unsee it.
You know what? I have a wife who died of a stroke, so I'm allowed to make jokes about that.
I can't stop you.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. Please give money to charity so that you can be less terrible people than I am. Because I'm apparently a terrible person, according to the stream so far.
According to all known laws of aviation.
Like, nobody's called me out for it, but like, I know I've been a terrible person on the stream, and I'm sorry. You guys need to donate to charity to make up for it.
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, so I meant to say this at the top of the stream, but yeah, so my stream with my partner, where we're reading through the Christian marriage book, that is moving to the Watering Hole channel, and it's going to be on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And that's partly because of YouTube punishing channels for trying new things, and partly because of scheduling stuff with her kids. It just makes it easier. So yeah, there's that.
Makes sense.
So yeah, see you tomorrow then for that one. But as always, fuck off.